and welcome to today's episode of No Limits, a show where I interview upcoming and established business people and entrepreneurs. The purpose of this show is to inspire, empower, and motivate the Black youth of today and provide more role models. On today's show, we have the very lovely Leslie Charles from Leslie Charles Solicitor. Welcome. Thank you for coming to the show.
No problem, you're most welcome.
Okay, Leslie, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, please?
Well, as you said, I'm Leslie Charles. I'm the principal solicitor at Leslie Charles Solicitors in Manchester, firm in Manchester. We've been going since 2007.
Okay.
I'm a devout Christian child of God and deeply spiritual man in those kind of matters.
Absolutely.
I'm also an entrepreneur. I like to engage in business activities, and also give a little bit back to the community.
Excellent.
Wherever I'm able to do. Yeah, so that's basically me in a nutshell.
Excellent. So you mentioned you're an entrepreneur.
Yes.
Great. We're going to come back to that a little bit later.
Thank you. No problem.
So basically, just wanted to find out, why did you get involved in your business, and kind of why did you want to set it up?
I think I've always wanted to be a lawyer. I remember the days when my dad would have us all seated in a row on, I think it was Friday evenings, back at the family house, and we'd have debates. I remember one particular occasion where I think I was probably like 7 years old at the time, and we had a debate on an issue which I don't recall now, but I do recall going back into that debate at home and saying, well, these words, that, well, here I am again. And when I said that, everybody seemed to laugh, and at that point, the family had said, "Oh, you need to be a lawyer," and I took that to heart at that time. And as years went on, I became more and more determined that I would be a lawyer.
Excellent.
And
so you were always quite argumentative from the beginning.
Well,
good at debates.
Not necessarily argumentative. But I did like debating. Yes, getting one's point across in a good way.
Excellent. Are you from a big family then? Or?
Yes, we're 9 in the family.
Wow.
Yeah, busy parents.
That's great. So, kind of before this, what did you do for a living beforehand?
I've always been in law.
Okay.
From when I was after university. I was in law school. While I was in law school, I was working at Burger King to make ends meet, working at hospitals.
I've worked at Burger King too.
Oh, it's a great place to work.
We have that in common.
great burgers there.
Yeah, it's a great place to start.
Yes. And I think it's good for grounding, and I think it's an excellent place to work as a student.
Yeah. Excellent. So, in terms of when you initially wanted to start up Leslie Charles Solicitor.
Yes.
In terms of issues and difficulties, were there any? Did you find there were any?
Well, I'd like to sit here and tell you that I went through all sorts of difficulties in setting up, but I wouldn't be telling you the truth, really. Basically, what it was that happened is that I had this feeling that I needed to move on from the firm I was in before. The firm I was in before was a great firm. They treated me very nicely. Okay. A wonderful employer. Wonderful manager, great colleagues. It was an absolutely excellent place to work.
Okay.
But I had the feeling that I needed to position myself differently in order to get more benefit from the work that I was doing. And as such, it was always going to be part of the plan to set up my own law firm. I did mention earlier on that I'm a spiritual person.
Yes.
And I remember, that I had a number of dreams. Regarding the firm, I mean, when I wanted to set up, I was thinking that I'd initially start in my room, getting cases, through referrals and word of mouth and things like that.
Okay.
And not having expenses, not having any staff, and just start things small in that way. But I had a dream one night, and in that dream, I saw myself walking down the street and getting to a particular building, and I opened the doors to that building, and I saw a lot of posts on the floor.
Okay.
And a young woman and her mother, or a young woman and a child, whichever way you want to put it.
Yeah.
An older woman and a young woman were passing by and said, "Oh, so you're the new solicitor?" Yeah. And I thought, oh. And then in that dream, I went around the building And then I got the realization that, well, I'm going to be at the very least buying a firm that, or be working in a place where another solicitor had worked before. And I had a rough idea as to the kind of area it was. And a day or two after that, I got a phone call that made that possible.
Wow.
Yes. When you're operating that kind of level, not many people understand why you do what you do and why you take the risks that you took historically. But everything worked out well by the grace of God.
That's amazing. I mean, so you had this dream, so do you feel it was almost God sent?
I believe
almost getting a message.
Yeah, I believe it was definitely God sent. I think it was definitely God's timing. I'd like to think that I'm in partnership with God. He's the one that created all things. Yeah, he's the one that created the law. He gave the law to Moses, the Ten Commandments. I think one of the Ten Commandments is thou shalt not murder, and I think that's still one of the laws today.
Yeah.
So I think it's safe to say that the laws that we have in this country, most of them anyway,
come from
the most historic ones come from Bible-based.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Things like the Ten Commandments.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So God has a hand in law, and I'd like to believe that God has a hand in the business that we're doing.
Excellent. That's fantastic.
No problem.
In terms of, any sort of setbacks that you face in the initial stages of your business, how did you go about, overcoming them?
Well, going into business, I was a little inexperienced, and I think inexperience results in certain mistakes, and I'd like to think that some of the mistakes that I made historically, I wouldn't repeat them again. But some notably were entering into certain agreements with other companies for things like referral of work and things like that. Companies that were not very, I didn't vet them properly. I was too trusting.
I see.
And when it came to it, I obviously had to take a view, make a decision to come out of those arrangements, which took a number of years. It's a bit like turning a big ship around. It took time. It was quite painful financially for the firm, but it turned out to be the right decision to come out of those kind of arrangements. People sometimes, when they see that you make those kind of errors, stay there. Meanwhile, you've realised the error you've made and you've moved on, and you're in the process of moving things on. For some people, they just stay there and say, "Oh, you did this, you shouldn't have entered this agreement. You shouldn't enter into that agreement." Year 1, year 2, year 3, they're banging on about it. But only yourself, sometimes it's the case whereby you're the only one that realises that you need to move on from that.
I see.
To better things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, we're going to go to a short break and we'll be back right after this.
Watch Soul TV at www.soulstation.co.uk/TV and on Ben TV Sky Channel 182. Listen to the online radio on soulstation.co.uk/radio@tunein.com. You can find us online at www.soulstation.co.uk and email us on studio@soulstation.co.uk. You can also contact us by phone on 0161 637 2944.
I'm back now and I'm still joined by Leslie Charles of Leslie Charles Solicitor. Thank you for staying with me on the show.
Thank you for having me.
So in terms of, you mentioned about learning from, some of the mistakes that you'd made initially and moving on, would you feel that that's one of the issues, one of the biggest barriers in setting up your business, not learning from the mistakes and moving on?
Yes. I think that in business, time is very important. And, unless you set up a business at the age of maybe 15 or 16 or after you leave school, you don't really have the time to make the mistakes that that are inevitable if you don't know what you're doing. So I think it's important that mistakes that are made are realised as quickly as possible, dealt with, and that one moves on and keeps moving on. And also that one takes the time to learn from other people's mistakes so as to avoid repeating them.
Yeah. Absolutely. You mentioned you were a bit too trusting.
Yes.
I don't know if you want to talk a bit about that, when you said you're too trusting.
Yes, as I mentioned at the start, I'm a spiritual, I'm a Christian.
Yeah.
And I tend to try and put myself in the position of a third party and see things from their viewpoint. And in that light, I try to be as helpful as possible. But there's certain people that no matter how nice you are to them or how kind you are to them, they see fit to want to stab you in the back.
Okay.
And I guess that's human nature. And I'm glad to say that I've seen the good side of human nature, but I've also seen the diabolical side of some extreme wickedness. Yeah, people repaying extreme good with extreme evil for no, and they just get some kind of pleasure or kick out of doing that kind of thing. And it's in dealing with such matters and such people that one needs to be very careful. We don't become like them in dealing with them necessarily. One has to maintain one's stance and one's integrity and one's position. But at the same time, you don't give yourselves to the wicked desires.
I understand.
Yeah. I know it might be sounding dramatic, but sometimes it is. Sometimes it is.
It makes sense. So in a way, you're saying, if you want to go into business, you need to go in with, your eyes wide open.
Yes.
And, kind of be trusting, but again, be wise, be smart about what you're doing.
Well, I'm not going to say be trusting. I'm just simply going to say make sure you cross the T's and dotted the I's. I think people saying business is business and then adopting a very harsh approach is not necessarily something I subscribed with initially. I don't subscribe to being harsh for the sake of being harsh. But I think I've come full circle to understand that it's important to have the parameters and to respect the business as a separate entity, even if whether it's a company or not a company, and to understand that one owes obligations to that business. And as such, the difficult decisions that one needs to make can be made on the basis that, not on the basis that you're being nasty, on the basis that you like grinding people into the ground, but on the basis that it's necessary for the actual business, and obviously one is obliged to do that. And that makes it easier. So it's getting to the same conclusion, but for different reasons.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think the reasons are important.
No, that's excellent. In terms of, when you were initially starting out, being from an African background,
yes.
Did you find that there were particular barriers you were facing? Did you know where to look for the information? Did you know where to go?
Well, barriers. That's a good question. That's a good question. I've never really subscribed to the assumption that one is disadvantaged because of one's colour.
Okay.
Now, I do appreciate that in certain that this is a wicked world we live in, and that there are certain people that is ignorance. Let me put it that way.
Yeah.
But that's just another challenge. Everybody has their challenges,
It's true.
And it's just another challenge that's particular to me as an individual. And I just look at ways of getting on with things and moving on with things. But in the world of business, at the end of the day, I think there's more that unites us. People's desire to be profitable, and whether you're green, black, yellow, or blue, if you add value to your customers, then they're more likely to stay with you. Now, customers that don't stay with you on the basis of your colour are probably customers you don't really want to have in any event. Yeah.
Okay, no, that's great. Yeah. In terms of your business now today,
yes.
How many people roughly do you employ?
Oh, you'd have to ask my manager about that.
Okay.
Because every time I'm asked that question, I need to count.
Well, that's great. I mean, it's increasing. I can only assume.
Yes.
So quite a few. Rough number?
That's a good question. 6, 7, 8. Yeah, I'll have to count.
Working for you at the moment.
Yes.
Excellent.
We've got a number of consultants also. Yes. altogether, you might find, if you come to office on a day, you might find up to 15 people there.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Gosh, that's a busy, very busy office.
Yes, yes.
So, in terms of your life today,
Yes.
can you talk me through a typical day in the life of Leslie Charles?
Well, obviously, a typical day, I wake up in the morning, thank God for being alive, say my prayers, read my Bible. I think it's very important to do that.
Very important.
And then I like to plan the day. I typically contact my manager and discuss with her what we plan to do for the day,
Okay.
the objectives and the aims. I like to run a tight team, an effective team. I think communication is very important in business.
Yeah.
I take my children to school, and I get to the office as quickly as I possibly can after taking them to school, and then when we get to the office, we all pray, and then we start work.
Excellent.
Yes.
It sounds like a quite, almost like a family.
That's
Another
it.
family.
Yes. I try to maintain a family atmosphere. One of the reasons why was that prior to actually getting a job, my first job in the law firm, I was concerned that all lawyers were snobby, all lawyers were unapproachable, and I was concerned about being able to work in that kind of environment. So now that God has given me the opportunity to be part of the influencing factors in the work environment, I try to make it a nice place to work.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
You touched on your children as well.
Yes.
Obviously, you're a family man,
Yes.
you're a father. How have you found juggling, balancing your family life and your life as a businessman, solicitor?
It's not easy.
No.
It's not easy. One needs to know one's priorities are, and one needs to spend time and invest in one's children. I think that the children are the future.
Yeah.
And I think that in the life of a child, comes a point in time where things are said or experiences are had that could point the direction of the rest of the life of that particular child. And it may not be that speech as to, well, you finished your O levels now, which A levels you want to do. It may not be that at that point in time. It could be when a child is very young. It could be a 10-minute conversation you have with a child and something just clicks. So my endeavour is to be there at the time that happens, and to try and bring that on as quickly as I possibly can for them, because the sooner they're set in that direction, and they're instilled with the sense of direction, the better for them, and the sooner they can start to move along those lines.
Excellent. Right, we're going to take another short break and we'll be right back.
Soul Station. Soul Station. You don't have to travel far to know what's on. You don't have to search too deep to reach your need. And that's why we are here to keep you entertained. Soul Station. Just a click. Just a click. Soul Station. Just a click. Soul Station. Have a media experience.
The future is now.
www.soulstation.co.uk/TV and on Ben TV Sky Channel 182. Listen to the online radio on soulstation.co.uk/radio@tunein.com. You can find us online at www.soulstation.co.uk and email us on studio@soulstation.co.uk. You can also contact us by phone on 0161 637 2944.
Welcome back. I'm still joined by Leslie Charles from Leslie Charles Solicitors.
Hi.
Thank you for being here today. So, for example, if there was a young black man or even young black woman watching this show,
Yes.
and they're looking up to you and they're thinking, "Oh wow, I'd love to do what Leslie Charles has done."
Yeah.
Where do I begin? What advice would you give to people watching who want to be like you?
Well, I'm not sure if they want to be like me. I'm still a work in progress. Yeah. What I say is that you should have your vision and make sure it's clear and plain as to what you want to achieve. The clearer it is, the faster you'll be able to achieve it. It doesn't matter if you take a day or 2 days a week or a month to really determine what it is you really want to do, what it is you really want to achieve. I say you should draw a distinction between what you think you can do and what it is that you really would love to do if you felt that there was no limitation. And then I'd go for the latter. That is the one that you would want to do if you feel that there was no limitation. Because what I found in my experience is that even though there may appear to be doors or walls, or barriers, I like to call it the Red Sea, it's only when you get there that the solution or the answer as to how to get over that wall will come. So if you're sitting in your bedroom looking at the challenge, and because of that you don't want to move forward, you're unlikely to accomplish anything. But if you have that determination and focus and belief, that you can do it, even though there are obstacles, and there are obstacles in every business, in life there are obstacles.
True.
Then you're more likely to be able to overcome it. So don't let your dreams die.
That's a wonderful message. Thank you very much for giving
You're
that to
most
us.
Thank you.
In terms of your services,
Yes.
can you tell us a little bit about what your company provides in terms of services?
Yeah, well, we do a lot of immigration work.
Okay.
Yeah, we like to say that we deal with difficult cases. One of our mission statements is that we deliver results, not stories.
Okay.
We're a firm that the moment we take on a job, we aim to get the result. It may not be a 5-star service whereby we call you every day and at the end of the day you don't get a result. No, it's a service whereby we tailor the resources to deliver the result, the intended result, and that's the way that we operate. We also deal with financial irregularity claims. We deal with personal injury matters. We deal with all sorts of litigation matters. More recently, I think we deal with flight delay claims and things like that. Yeah.
So there's quite a range of services you provide.
Yes. Also, we deal with wills. A lot of people don't have wills, and it's important that they do have wills and get them sorted out as quickly as possible, especially in this day and age. Yeah. And general advice.
Excellent. If people want to find out more about your business and more about what services you provide, where can they go? Is there a website or contact?
Yes, we have the standard contact avenues. They can visit our website at www.lesliecharles, Charles, CHARLES, solicitors.co.uk, or you can contact us by email on info@lesliecharlessolicitors.co.uk, or you could give us a call on 0161 220 8888. That's 0161 220 8888. If you need to contact us, we'd be more than happy to take your inquiry.
That's absolutely brilliant.
Thank you.
That's the end of today's show.
Thank you.
I want to thank you for being a guest on the show.
It's been a pleasure.
It's been a pleasure for me as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hope you've enjoyed today's show, and we'll see you soon.
Till have a media experience.
The future is now.